Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh, and whatever special guest he has today, you can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good, and follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the program. We got another good one for you. We have Nicole Weller is our guest today. Now, Nicole is a longtime teaching golf professional, a member of the LPGA and also PGA of America. She's a native of Massachusetts. Her parents came as immigrants, and her story getting into golf and who her parents were and where she played her golf and with whom are interesting. And for some, this is going to be a trip down memory lane because some of our past guests before, Tracy Welsh, Tara Joy Connolly, guess who was rivals with them? Our guest today, Nicole Weller. So we're going to have a nice trip down memory lane, talk about her life in golf, graduate of Wake Forest University, and also the author of a couple books and the creator of children's materials, which make the game fun for everybody. So I think this is going to be a fun discussion coming up for you. Speaking of fun, do you like to have fun on the golf course and enjoy an adult beverage? If so, if you're tired of beer, if you're tired of hard seltzers, and you're really looking for something that is the perfect drink for golfers, try a party. Party is, if it's not at the golf course where you're playing right now and you want it there, then make sure you have your beverage director contact Paradise Craft Distributors, the exclusive distributor of Party in the state of Florida. So big thanks to Party for sponsoring the podcast, as well as the golf real estate professionals from suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. If your dream is to live at a place like Lakewood National Golf Club, where we typically broadcast from, the number one golf community in America, then Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro can help you out. Vince was our realtor when we moved to the neighborhood. Then Gene joined his team, and a new addition to the team, Samantha Walsh, now on board. They got you absolutely covered with everything that you need there. Okay, so let's bring Nicole on board here. How's it going, Nicole? I'm glad to talk to you. I know you're a podcast veteran. You've done a lot of these, and I hope you'll come back more than once here.
Thank you for having me on the show, Kevin. I appreciate it. This is exciting.
It is for me too. Where are you joining us from today?
So I am in North Carolina, just outside of Wilmington, in a town called Leland that is booming. We're one of the fastest growing areas in the country. And it's been a nice day, actually. It's in the high 70s today. So absolutely love it. A lot of people getting out to golf and get the snow off that we had about a week and a half ago.
Oh my gosh. So that's good. So this is kind of like just a nice little gift coming at a time. Maybe you don't really expect it. So you are a native of where in Massachusetts?
Lakeville, Mass. It's in southeastern Mass, kind of near New Bedford, Fall River, nearer to the Cape.
Now, is the accent changed a little bit with all the time you lived in the South? Because you don't sound like the typical masshole that I'm used to hear. What's happened?
I don't talk the car so much, but
there you go.
Where you grow up and what you hear in the house is kind of what comes out. And my parents were both immigrants from Switzerland and Germany, so I never heard that dialect in the house. In fact, I spoke German the first 3 years of my life and then switched over to English. So when I went out with my friends and playing golf in the area, I heard the accent a lot there, but I didn't have it inside the house.
Well, that's interesting there. So what brought mom and dad to the States?
So mom came over with her family, her mom and dad and her 2 sisters. And we actually have a very cool picture of them on the ship coming over, looking at the Statue of Liberty. And then my dad came over. He flew over. He had $25 in his pocket and 2 suitcases. And I just found a picture of him sitting on a suitcase outside the travel agency, which was cool. They all had sponsors. Dad was supposed to go to England. He was a wonderful Swiss tailor. And at the last minute, something happened and he came to the U.S. So I'm really happy he did, because here I am.
Yep. Here you are. I take it you loved where you grew up. Tell me about the old neighborhood What street did you live on? Give me a feel for what life was like back then.
Great question. So Lakeville was really small, like maybe 6,000 people when I was growing up there. I think we had 2 traffic lights, and we finally got a Dunkin' Donuts. Can't have a place without Dunkin' up there. And I grew up in the Heritage Hill neighborhood and did a lot of babysitting. And it was just like when you look at a movie from the 70s and 80s, just the kids are out playing, they're being creative. We have a beautiful par 3 course that I grew up on. My dad and mom built a house near the 10th fairway of Heritage Hill Country Club back then. It's now called the Back 9 Club. And there is a very cool old like Viking water tower there. That's part of their design too. So a lot of history. Got to sled down the 18th hole. Kids came from a long way away to come sledding there. And it was just a great place. A lot of bushy trees, neighborhood. And it was a great place to grow up.
So with the golf, how did that enter the picture? Was it just because you could see it in the backyard with the golf course there, or is there more to it?
You know, my dad started playing golf when I was about 4. And so I would go along and tag along and have him pull his cart and just hang out until he's like, let's go to the next hole. So he started playing and I went out with him and that became our thing. And really neat. I mean, there's not often that you go out in the afternoon and you're allowed to go play golf after you eat your ice cream and do your homework. And then you hear the cowbells ring. That's your mom's ringing because you need to come home for dinner. So when I heard those bells ring, I came home. So it was just nice to be out there. It's so peaceful listening to the bullfrogs and the mowers and it was just awesome.
The sounds of nature, which is different from the sounds that we hear on the golf course nowadays, in which music is playing, people are indulging in drinks, just whatever. I mean, it's different, and I'm not going to poop on it because whatever gets you to the golf course is fine. But do you like it just for the natural sounds of the golf courses, the mowers, nature? Is music ever playing when you're playing golf?
Not really. No, for me, I'm pretty traditional. I like the traditional side of it, but I agree with you. There's a lot of different reasons to play golf. And so, I like it to calm down, relax. I just love the nature aspect of it. So, but I know people are enjoying it out there and it's a different game. You know, I love tradition until it stifles progress. So we need to have a good mix of both.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. When did you start getting good at golf? When did you know I might have something here?
You know, I started taking lessons maybe around 8 or 9 from Bob Day, PGA head pro in Brockton Country Club. And then from there, I started playing. I played my first junior golf event in the WGAM Girls Juniors in Weston. And that's when I started playing with Tracy and Tara and the crew up there. So I would say around 14, 15 years old. And I had my first national tournament I played in Greensboro. So that was my first trip. And then I did a lot of AJGA and USGA juniors and the awesome Pub Links that's now gone. So USGA girls, it was a good time.
Yeah. So you're talking about Tara Joy Connolly and also Tracy Welsh, who've been popular past guests. So what was the rivalry like? Was it give me a feel for it. I want to hear it in your words.
It was fun to see them. You know, Tracy was just about a year older than me, but her birthday fell where she was in the same group. And I'm like, oh, I want to hit it as far as her because she was taller than me and stronger. And so I had to play a different game to keep up with her. Tara was always just full of smiles. I don't think I've ever seen her not smile. And so she was super fun to get out there and play with. And so we'd play and, you know, then we'd do our thing and then we'd see each other at the next event. And we're just small little events. So it was fun to get out there with them. So I think I ended up going one afternoon. I hung out with Tracy at her course after we played in the tournament, and just fun to kind of see that side, you know, just the non-golf side and hang out. And that was great. Never got to see her uncle Brad there, but that would have been fun.
Brad Faxon, the cousin of Tracy Welsh, and what a storied golfing family she is. I've caddied for Tracy many times, and what a player. Considered at one time the best female golfer on Wall Street, and I believe it because I've seen it up close, and I think you have too. Nicole Weller is our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story. She is an LPGA and PGA professional, has been for a number of years now, an instructor in the Wilmington, North Carolina area. So you went to Wake Forest. How did you arrive at that decision?
So I'd been playing a lot of junior golf and ended up playing at a tournament in Ohio called the Judy Shock Invitational at the country club there. And my first year, I ended up shooting 74 the first day, which was one of my lows at that point at a tournament. And that caught Coach Diane's eye. Second day, I didn't quite play as well, but I finished in the top and it was a good start. And so I was on the radar for Diane. And from there, my dad and I did several, we must have looked at 9, 10, 11 schools that were recruiting me. And we drove in to Wake, and we haven't even gotten on campus. And my dad goes, I've got a really good feeling about this place. And it turned out to be Wake. I went early acceptance. So I was in December, I knew, and I was ready to go.
What was the college experience like for you?
It was really interesting and new for me because my parents had never had a college experience. We didn't grow up in the house with teams from football or baseball or basketball. It was, watching Olympics and skiing and the European sports. So it was really new for me. And the recruiting process was very new for all of us. So being at Wake the first year, I was kind of quiet. I didn't really know people. We started out only with freshmen, sophomore. So it was a very young team when I joined. A lot of people had graduated. So freshman year, I think I only played in a couple of events. Sophomore year, a little bit more. And then junior, senior year were awesome. Had a really good time. And we really bonded. We did a ropes course at the beginning of each season with Coach Diane. And it was like family. It was really nice.
Was there any influence from the men's side of the team? The storied history with Arnold Palmer, Curtis Strange, the Haas brothers, any of that find its way over to the women's program in the form of help or just cheering on?
We did cross a lot of paths. We had the old practice facility. I know they have a beautiful new one, but we were at the facility up there next to the baseball diamond that was practicing. So actually they used to blare out their music and we heard it and it was fun. But we got to practice next to them. We saw them at the course. So we ran into them a lot. Even in the dorms as well. Some of them were in the same dorm starting out. I remember sophomore year, I came in early. I was a student ambassador. And the elevator opens up and out pops actually Hale Irwin and his caddy carrying Becky's trunk because she was there playing tennis. So wouldn't usually expect Hale Irwin to pop out of an elevator at you. But Randolph Childress was on the same hallway, and we got to hang a little bit with Rodney Rogers, and Tim Duncan was in one of my classes with his tutor there. So we got to see each other. That was fun. I was one of the screaming demons, and when you see Rodney Rogers go off for a 360 breakaway, you knew it was going to be fun. Yeah.
What about Tim Duncan? What was that like? Was he a normal student or a totally different student? He was on a different level. I want to know.
He was, I just remember him being very tall and very quiet at the other end of the room. It was a religion class that I was in. Wake was not affiliated with the Baptist anymore, but we had religion classes. I popped into one and he was just really quiet at the other side of the room. I never really got to interact with him a ton, but back in the they had like a student athlete tutoring area. So I was in there, sometimes, and it was fun to rub elbows with them.
What about on the road with your teammates? You got any good college golf stories? The travel part, or just something happened during a tournament that sticks out either for funny reasons or maybe not, but it was compelling?
Yeah, good question. And I do have another fun story if you want me to share it about the guys, although I will not name names, but we had, there was one of the gentlemen who was rushing one of the fraternities. And the story goes that he ended up being dropped off at, I think it was Myrtle Beach, by his fraternity brothers. And they left him with a quarter and hopped back in the car. And he had to figure out how to get back home. And turns out his dad kind of had a jet and flew him back up there before his brothers got back home. And he was in the fraternity house waiting for them upon their arrival back. So that was always one of the good fun stories there.
Man, yes. What a reverse burn when somebody's trying to stick it to you stick it right back to them.
That was a good one. So one of my fun travel stories. My senior year, we played at University of Kentucky, and we walked 36 holes that day. So I like to say, back in my day, we walked and carried our bag and walked 36. And the second go around, Hole 12 was a par 3. I hit the best 6-iron of my life, and that thing was tracking, and it plugged half in the hole, half out of the hole, and half above and half below. So this thing was stuck in the side of the hole, and we had no rules official around at that point. We tried to repair the hole, and it was completely wrecked. And then, you mark it and play your 2-ball rule. So I tried to put the ball on the edge, and you didn't want to put it and let it hop in. So I put it on the edge and played the 2-ball rule. Said, I'd like my hole in one to count, please. But if not, then it's a 2. So the rule has to be below the rim of the hole to count. So I have 5.5 hole in ones. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't have known well, you did the right thing in playing 2 balls. So somebody that really knows can solve it for you. But gosh darn it, if it didn't get stuck in there, it just seems like that's the worst luck it should have gone in. Oh.
It should have, but we didn't have cup liners back then. Remember, we spray painted, so it was all dirt.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so it was on Bermuda because that's usually okay, and it's softer too. Up north that wouldn't have happened. The soil's hard.
Yeah, Kentucky's got to be bent up there, I would say. But yeah, it was soft, but it was fall, so yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky doesn't. No. They got. Okay, all right. That's a good story. Did you chase it? Did you consider chasing it, turning pro competitively and on the tours after college, or had you had enough?
Not so much. I went straight into my master's degree, and I did right after I graduated college. I went to try out for the U.S. Open, and I was running late and got there a little bit close to tee time, and it just, it was a test trial on the tournament, but I was heading into grad school, so I decided to go that way. And then at grad school, I'm like, do I want to be a sports psychology academic person with golf on the side? Or do I want to be in the golf business with sports psychology on the side? And that's the route I went, that latter route.
Okay, cool. During the competitive part in college or at any point, did you ever hate competitive golf?
No, I never hated it. It was it was my, ticket into a whole different world. And I still stand out on the tee hitting shots going, my dad taught me this. And that is probably the best connection to golf. And he and I had some great times, but I never hated competitive golf. I watch kids play now, and I've worked with so many kids. My favorite age group's 2 to 6. Absolutely love the young ones. But I watch the kids now starting to compete at age 5, and they're heavily competing at age 8 and 10 when their bodies and their minds are not really ready for a lot of that. And so the mental and mostly the emotional part of competing at a young age is what I see. I do see kids hate it out there and, playing for reasons other than the love of the game. But I never hated it like that. Sometimes I was like, I really don't want to go practice, but I did a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the kids, because you've written about children. You've developed different programs for them so they can love the game and understand it better, be it in book form, be it in puzzle form. I mean, how many books have you written?
So I've written 2 books and then flashcards and a new scavenger hunt puzzle. So back in 2011, I'm watching parents and grandparents try to teach the kids. And the words that came out from an adult to a 4-year-old were very different. Kids learn with different words. They learn through play. They learn through images. They don't learn through words so much. So I wanted to write a book that had kids' words in it. So we do 1, 2, show your shoe, or tick-tock, swing the clock for putting, lots of games, stickers, points. And then I had a lot of parents go, I know you put a Facebook quote of the day out there. Can you put those into a book form? And during COVID, I'm like, I think it's time for some feel-good stuff. So went through all my Facebook quotes on the funny things that kids say and from that, I took flashcards. So the pictures in my book, I did two scenes, like 2 drivers and 2 putters and 2 flags, and put words on them. So they're flashcards, but then they double as a memory game because I like a 2-for-1. And I just put it all into a scene on a puzzle where they have to put the puzzle together and then find all the items that I put in there on the puzzle. So another 2-for-1 game.
Love it. What is the funniest thing a child has ever said during a lesson?
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. I had one girl, she was 4 and she played her first hole. She must have taken, from 50 yards, maybe 10 shots, and she's getting the ball out of the hole. And I'm looking over at her and she's like crying. And I'm looking at her dad going, is she okay? And he's like, I don't know what's going on here. And I go, are you doing okay? And she picks up her ball and she goes, yes, I just have tears of joy. Where's the next hole? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl was just loving that she could get out there and play. So tears of joy are always good when you're taking a ball out of a hole.
Oh my gosh, that's darling. At such a young age, loving it that profoundly, it moves her to tears. You're going to make me start
Yes.
crying here. Hey, can we go back to high school? You were the captain of the boys golf team. What was that like?
Yes, co-captain of the boys golf team. So, those guys could hit it by me, and I just had to figure out a different way to play the game because they'll have to get the ball in the hole a different way. So it was great to get out there and play with the guys and just try to figure out how I could get around there. So, and get around the course and shoot low scores. So I was playing nationally, and some of them, hadn't been playing nationally and more regionally. So it was it's just fun to hang out with the guys and keep up and see what we can do as far as tournaments. And then I was able to play in the girls high school championship, which I won on prom day. So I was in a playoff. I had to go into a playoff, and my prom date was waiting. And I'm like, I got to get this over with. I got to get this done because I have to go to the prom. So that was up at the Woodlands. I remember that course.
Oh yeah. How did the prom go? I want to know about that too.
It was good. I had a great farmer's tan, but that's part of the business. It was good. It was actually down near Newport, so my aunt drove me back. My aunt Bridget had driven me up to come watch, and then zipped me back home from the tournament, and off I went to the prom.
There you go. Tell me this though: when you met your opponent, obviously a boy, you're playing on the boys team, was there a little bit of social awkwardness?
I think, any opponent sizes each other up, right? But there was always, for me, I'm going to play a girl. How am I going to do? Or, back there wasn't social media back then to where they could look stuff up and see how people are doing. So I think they wanted to play well and beat me, and I didn't know if there was any animosity there. I never saw anything outwardly, maybe behind the scenes, the guys chatted, but I was just there to golf my ball, and that was that.
The reason I ask is because I had a high school teammate who was a girl, and she was actually number one on our team. I became number one when I became a freshman, and she moved down to number 2. So we always played together. And the coaches would introduce you, play in foursomes. 1 and 2 would play against the other team's 1 and 2 people. And the coaches would introduce who's playing. And her name was Debbie Silverberg, and she was a hell of a player and went on to play at Ohio State. But the look on the boys' faces are like, I'm in a can't win situation here, because if I beat her, I beat a girl. But if I lose to her, now I'm really going to hear it from my teammates. And the fact of the matter is Debbie was just a lot better than almost everybody she played. I don't know if she lost the match because she was that good. That's why I asked. But did you ever pick up on any of that? Like, could you see it in their faces? Like, oh, this is going to be tough for me one way or another, aside from your good golf game, Nicole?
I think I caught some looks, or, sometimes you'd like to see the other team, the guys, looking over, laughing at some whatever joke or whatnot. So there's probably some of that behind the scenes, but they were pretty cool, to my face. And the guys on my team were really supportive. I think they were great. Sometimes we, even gave each other rides back and forth. So it was a pretty good experience there. It was interesting growing up in that area because as a woman in a man's industry, I've been into St. Andrews back in the 90s and was escorted out. I couldn't play. I was the club champion at a course in New England and couldn't play until after 1:00 on the weekends. Wasn't allowed in certain rooms or even in the clubhouse at certain times and had to wait outside. So, just growing up in a different environment. So it's changed a lot.
Yes, it has. How has your game changed? Are you still getting around pretty good? What's the state of Nicole's competitive golf game or social golf game right now?
So my golf game is right now more for other people. So I get out. I love doing play lessons. I love getting out on the course. Um, and so I get out there and I do a lot of demoing. I love competing with students, do some chipping, some putting, some pitching, those type of little contests. So that keeps my game sharp for sure. And then I'll play in some things like a LPGA virtual pro-am with some members for fundraising. I've played the last couple of years in a pro with a PGA lady pro friend of mine who manages some Troon properties. So a little bit here and there. I think I'm going to play a lot more when I retire. Right now, I'm in a good position to give my energy out to other people, but I still want to keep the game fresh. Had a student call in sick today, so I used that time to hit some balls. It was great. And so I try to keep it on there. And I think, my husband's a PGA member too. So one day we'll hopefully get out there and play a lot more again.
Tell me about your husband. Just what it's like having two golf pros under the same rooftop, and how'd you meet? Because I love a good love story. Let's hear it.
Good story, yeah. So Ty's a PGA member, and we've both had our membership. Last year, we ended up getting our 25-year pin from the PGA, which was super cool. But I actually went through that PGA program when I was in Tennessee right after grad school, and it traveled around at that point. So they had different sites across the country, and I did my PRO and my level 1 in Nashville, and I ended up just hanging out with a bunch of guys there. And Ty's brother was hanging out in the group. And then I think it was end of the year, I went back to level 2 and I saw Scott. And then Ty was in the group with them. So we all just started hanging out and then did some visits back and forth. Ty was in Kansas and I was in Tennessee. So we traveled back and forth and visited, and it just kind of grew from there. And he eventually moved to Tennessee, but I would say within about 7-8 months of meeting, he proposed, and it was a great story. We were at Salina Country Club, and we're getting out to play with some friends, and they're making announcements, and they go, next up on the number 1 tee, Danaher Weller, and the future Mrs. Weller. And I was getting stuff out of my bag, and I was like, ooh, is this it? And I turn around and Ty's like down on his knee, and the ring hadn't come in yet. And so he had like a little fake ring, and it was really fun. And we both teed off and managed to get the golf ball out in play, which was good. So we stayed in play, and that was a fun story. So, but working, and we've worked at the same place. We worked at different places. He's not my boss, so to speak. We have a really great boss who we love working with in Savannah for 15 years, and now we're working again with him here. So we support each other a lot. I know a lot of the stories that he has to deal with. He understands my aspects. I understand his, but I couldn't do what he does, Kevin. He does, the shop, the staff, the tournaments, the merchandise. He wears a ton of hats. And then he's like, I don't know how you stand out there and teach 6 to 8 hours. So it's, I think we appreciate a lot of what we do. Within our own little craft. So, and we can pop ideas off each other, which is great. And then if I need him to teach, he's going to help me with a Valentine's school in a couple weeks, and I will do a class for couples by a couple.
Oh, that's cute. And so was the marriage proposal on the golf course. I never heard of that before. Anybody doing that, but that was a good one. Yeah. All right. So we're getting near the end here, Nicole. I know you've seen good players, bad players, given thousands of lessons over the years. But if you could boil it down to one thing, just one thing in like a minute or less that would help anybody at any level improve their game, what would it be?
I think I might surprise you. And this is an area that's not covered often, but I think it is a huge thing to be able to front load what you want your emotion to be into a shot. Everything starts with the emotion, and the emotion kicks off the mental part. So we have a chemical reaction, we have an emotional reaction, then the mental part kicks off, and then comes the physical part, right? So front loading is where you own the emotion before a shot. So not inheriting that. And a lot of people don't practice working on their emotions, but then they surely experience them on the course and they haven't practiced managing them. So I have students working a lot with, how do you want to feel into the shot? Would you rather feel scared or would you rather feel curious? So I think it's important to know, hey, I'm going to step into the shot no matter what happens. I'm going to be neutral or I'm going to be curious. But it's important to know what it is you want to own into that shot and not just what you inherit from the last shot. And that makes the body really more committed into what it's going to do.
That threw me off guard, but I like it. And I'm going to try that. All right. Be curious about the shot. I mean, I guess because that's a sense of wonder and it frees you up. Hey, you're going to have to come back and we're going to have to take a deeper dive into the golf psychology part of things. All right. Because that really piqued my interest. And I told you a minute or less, which you did, but maybe that requires a deeper dive. We'll do that another time. You all right with that?
Sounds good. You got it. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I enjoyed talking to you. Nicole Weller has been our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, if you're tired of beer and hard seltzers, try a Party. Transfusion in particular. And if your dream is to live in a golf resort community like Lakewood National Golf Club in the greater Sarasota area, Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro, your golf real estate pros, suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. They are your people. For Nicole Weller, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.